behind the scenes, something has gone horribly wrong. Additionally, it revolves on a single leaked baby crisis tape that has destroyed marriages and friendships. The fact that Karlie Redd was seen enjoying that intimate time has stunned many. However, what really makes people laugh is Kirk Frost's response. Insiders claim he chose to stand with Karlie rather than protect Rasheeda. Rasheeda is now enraged. When Rasheeda barged into Kirk's study with a phone in hand and said, "You left me for her," tensions were running high. According to witnesses, her voice cracked. As she recalled how Kirk commended Karlie's moments of devotion, she felt betrayed and saddened. The family was split when she revealed that startling video. While some supporters praised Kirk's impartiality, others said that he had deserted his wife when she most needed him. Rumors are now circulating that Rasheeda isn't prepared to provide forgiveness. She's doubting everything. According to sources, was Kirk too ready to accept Karlie's version of events? Or did he really believe her? More is promised by this battle. More tears, heartache, and a confrontation that could permanently alter their lives. This drama is far from ended, so stay tuned. Before anybody ever stepped onto the set, the studio lot was alive with activity. Twitter accounts sharing pictures of a leaked video showing Scrappy and Shakira making a personal joke about names for babies. The conversation swiftly turned to Karlie Redd, who was seen smiling as if it were a comedy on the reaction video. However, Kirk Frost's answer was unexpected. Insiders claim that instead of jumping to Rasheeda's defense right after, he contacted Karlie later and complimented her for being honest. As word got out, Rasheeda's phone was inundated with direct messages and nasty emojis. How could he choose her instead of you? Queen, I'm so sorry, it's unbelievable. Her pulse thumping, she read them all. Kirk had texted Rasheeda when she woke up earlier that morning. "I just saw that you're trending. I'll be home shortly." She gazed, her thoughts were racing at the words. She cherished Kirk, but what did it say about him if he supported Karlie, who had just used Shakira's intimate moment as a weapon? Her fingers, shaking, she hit respond. "We must speak." Kirk was finishing off a business call when she picked up her keys and went to their joint office. His eyes flickered with astonishment as he glanced up. "I thought we were going to supper, sweetie." Rasheeda was chilled by his nonchalant tone. She raised her phone and showed Karlie's footage continuously. "After this got viral, did you give Karlie a call?" Kirk paused. "I contacted to let her know that Scrappy's reputation would not be defined by this turmoil." Rasheeda's mouth clenched. "Thus you took her side." Kirk gave a headshake. "I refuse to take sides." She let out a sour chuckle. "Yes, you are. Instead of defending my conduct, you supported hers." The air between them crackled at that instant. Grabbed her hand. "You are aware of my affection for you." Rasheeda was really attempting to be impartial. She withdrew. Neutral. "When my spouse compliments my acquaintance for acknowledging the suffering of others," Kirk wiped his face with his hand. "Look, I understand your frustration. He is also a buddy of mine." Rasheeda had burning eyes. "A friend." She made fun of even though Shakira was crying and making fun of a pregnant lady. "You supported her." Kirk's voice trailed off. "That's not how I saw it." Her feelings erupted. Threatening to cry, she paced the room. "In a moment, you abandoned me for her. What else may I be thinking?" Kirk took hold of her shoulders. "Calm down, Rasheeda. You're becoming angry with me." She shoved him away. "I'm not going to lose it. I'm getting up. I want you to choose me." Kirk's face ached. "I've already picked you, Rasheeda." Her head was cocked. "Oh, really? So why did you give her such a high rating in that voicemail?" Kirk's eyes dropped. "I was taken by surprise." Rasheeda gave a headshake. "Do you trust me enough?" "That's the true question." "To protect me?" Kirk swallowed and closed his eyes. Taking his phone out, he played back. It was the same message she had seen. "You handled that conversation so well," he said in a soft voice to Karlie. "You are so honest." All the time, Rasheeda gulped hard. "Kirk, you commended her honesty. Have you ever given me praise?" Kirk's shoulders drooped. Rasheeda broke down in tears as she said, "I did when I talked to you this morning." She reached for her keys. She was already at the door when Kirk stretched out and said, "I need space." The midday sun was cruel outside. With trembling hands, gripping the steering wheel, Rasheeda closed the door of her automobile. The doorway echoed Kirk's voice. "When you're calm, please give me a call." She didn't answer. Doubt and treachery swirled in her head as she drove away. The first shot after the leak took place the following day. The staff discussed Rasheeda's disappearance in whispers. Karlie showed their early cosmetics perfect, but there was fear in her eyes. While at craft services, she went up to Kirk. Her voice was quiet as she inquired, "How's Rasheeda?" Kirk stirring his coffee, he shrugged. Her face fell. "She's Hurt Kirk looked at her and said, I didn't mean to get in the way of you two. Karlie dropped her voice and said, I know. Kirk nodded, but his eyes glowed with doubt. I'll reach out to her. Later, Rasheeda unexpectedly entered the set. Her eyes were strong, her makeup was minimal, and she wore an enormous sweatshirt and black leggings. Kirk froze when he saw her. Their solemn moment was captured by the rolling cameras. With a timed, hushed voice, Rasheeda walked to him. We must cleanse the air before we can do this scenario. With a look of strain on his face, Kirk nodded. The director urged everyone to take action. They would record a conversation in the living room. Kirk and Rasheeda sat rigidly next to one another on the sofa. The first lines were straightforward. Discuss your favorite moments from the previous season. Kirk gave a convulsive grin. Do you remember our anniversary trip to Paris? Rasheeda gave a flat nod. Indeed, it had the feel of coiled springs. For the actual conversation, the producer gave a signal. Rasheeda looked across at Kirk. I heard praise, but you said neutral. Kirk, he shut his eyes. Rasheeda felt her heart twist. Her voice was low. Why didn't you as extras looked on in quiet? The words lingered between them. Fight for me. Kirk's agonized face was recorded on camera as he found it difficult to respond. Rasheeda wasn't playing. She was bleeding as she looked him, her eyes weeping. I'm sorry, Kirk muttered in a rough voice as he sighed and wiped his forehead. I was mistaken. I ought to have stood up for you first. Rasheeda shuddered at the thought, then demonstrated. Kirk's fingertips touched hers as he reached for her hand, causing her to wince before letting the director shouted, cut! But none of them moved, and his hand rested there, looked at each other. They had caught something unguarded. Karlie, who was watching from the monitor tent, felt guilty. Mendez massaged her back while she wiped away a tear. She's hurting, he whispered softly. Rasheeda withdrew to her trailer during the midday break, shut the door, and slumped down on the sofa. Kirk knelt next to her, his voice genuine, knocked, and slid inside. I have no friends as much as I adore you. Rasheeda raised her head. I need you two to be there for me. If a controversy arises, Kirk. Kirk nodded and wiped her face, saying, I will. She allowed herself to think it, if only briefly. However, as she watched Kirk go, a fresh text message appeared on her phone. I'm so happy that he's realizing the truth. Rasheeda's chest constricted as she pondered if Karlie was playing a long game. Rasheeda's pulse thumping. She rested her forehead against the cold wood as the footsteps outside the trailer receded. The next morning dawned gloomy and restless as the cameras rolled into another day on the Atlanta lot, and she wasn't sure she could trust Kirk's next move since she knew this drama wasn't finished yet. Rasheeda came first, calm as usual, but a tempest raged within her heart. Since she had spent the night mulling over Kirk's words, repeating his apologies word for word, would she ever really trust him again? She saw Karlie's aide lingering close to the stage as she made her way to her trailer. The assistant slipped aside as Rasheeda approached, but her eyes followed her, suspicion igniting anew. Karlie. The assistant was standing in the monitor tent, clipboard in hand, and phone placed to her ear. Appeared next to her helper, putting on headphones while getting ready for a recording, and gave Rasheeda a hesitant wave and a grin. Instead of looking directly into Karlie's eyes, Rasheeda turned and slid into cosmetics where Kirk was waiting. Although she did reciprocate the gesture, he grasped her hand while the makeup artist applied a neutral shade of gloss. His face obviously affected by guilt. You all right? He muttered. Rasheeda closed her eyes and leaned into his warmth, saying gently, we'll see. Not sure whether she was referring to the delicate piece between them or the shoot. There was a tense atmosphere on set as staff members discussed if Rasheeda would resign, and extras whispered about their private altercation. Coffee break soon, the director assured, trying to lighten the mood with small conversation, but no one chuckled. The digital world was waiting for the next soundbite as they gathered in corners and scrolled through their phones to get every aspect of the argument centered around the leaked tape that was trending online. Was Karlie Kirk's preference above? His wife monitors in the backdrop were flooded with fan tweets and images. A constant reminder that this drama refused to remain behind the scenes. Rasheeda and Yandi were supposed to have a light-hearted conversation in the garden in the first scene. Yandi showed up with a thermos. Her phrase in question, she hugged Rasheeda and then looked to Kirk as if looking for alliance. With a little grin, Rasheeda gestured Yandi to take a seat next to her on a Rotteron bench. Kirk hovered near the frame's edge, prepared to join if necessary. Yandi started out softly. How are you doing? Rasheeda let out a breath and looked at Kirk before responding. It's been the hardest thing I've had to deal with on this program. To be honest, a lock of hair was tucked behind her ear. I assumed Kirk would be the first to support me. Handy's eyes become sympathetic. That is what you deserve. Kirk nodded as he entered the picture. Rasheeda's jaw tightened, but she spoke steadily. Appreciate you expressing that. Kirk gently caressed her shoulder with his outstretched hand. The act was purposeful, public, in an effort to win back his allegiance. Rasheeda winced but did not recoil. The director shouted cut as the scene came to a conclusion. Rasheeda withdrew to the hair trailer at the intermission. Kirk trailed after, his forehead furrowed with concern. Softly, you did great, he remarked. She looked at her mirror as she turned away. It's only a performance. Quietly, she answered. His voice broke. I hope it is. She didn't answer. As Kirk walked away, his shoulders drooped. She was by herself, thinking Karlie was asked to record a voiceover in an adjacent studio in the meanwhile. Her words were intended to divert attention from scandal by promoting a forthcoming charity event using standard promotional work. She put on her headphones and hit the record button. On the first take, her voice trembled a little. She finally delivered it with assurance after many tries. Mendez gave her a firm embrace as she left. You nailed it, he said in a low voice. Are you okay though? Karlie gave his arm a squeeze. I must be, she said, trying to hide the tremble in her chest. A dot. The actors later get back together for an unscripted real chat session and roundtable. Under a canopy of string lights, producers arranged seats in a circle. As the team changed camera angles in an attempt to get every unguarded statement, the lot was bustling. Rasheeda paused when the Kirk by her side at the circle's perimeter. With her hands folded in her lap and her gaze downcast, Karlie sat opposite. Rasheeda was surrounded by Yandi and Erica, who were cautious yet supportive like sentinels. Mendez lingered in silence until he was asked to talk. The first question was asked by the host. How have you dealt with the repercussions from this leak? Rasheeda's throat became constricted. It felt like a direct attack on my marriage and my privacy, she remarked, taking a deep breath, to see Kirk contacting Karlie. Her eyes pricked with tears when her voice first wavered. Kirk grabbed her hand. This time, she led his fingers to warm hers without pulling away. The unadulterated affection would be seen to fans. When it was Karlie's time, she cleared her throat. I assumed it was a lighthearted behind-the-scenes video, so I chuckled when I first watched it. Accidentally, a moment was spilled. I have no desire to do harm to anybody. She raised her head and met Rasheeda's eyes. Sincerity was heard by the fans. Erica bent over. She bluntly said, It's easy to joke when you're not the one feeling betrayed. Karlie gave a nod. I get that now, Gandindi said. We must all prioritize effect above purpose. The tension in the room subsided a little but remained. DCS were the last to speak. I tried to stay neutral, but neutrality looked like betrayal, he said. Kirk's gaze shifted to Rasheeda, who gave men a united squeeze. Although the family had broken apart, shared vulnerability was starting to fill the fractures. Following the circular table, a short video of Karlie and Rasheeda strolling side by side toward a charity check presentation was captured by the group. They walked over to the stage. Rasheeda gave Karlie a courteous nod as she looked at her. Karlie smiled tentatively. Back at it, Kirk took Rasheeda's place behind her, proud and protective. The scene was filmed by cameras, showing forgiveness in action. Hope is present but brittle. The lot swiftly filled up that night, leaving only a few employees to hit the set. Kirk and Rasheeda strolled together to their trailers. Kirk shattered the quiet. Thank you for sitting with me all day, he said. Rasheeda gave him a glance. I needed to see you choose me in front of everyone. Kirk smiled. After hesitating, she allowed him to kiss her hand. I did. Let's work together to resolve this leak and whatever happens next. A little indication that trust may be restored, one moment at a time, was when Kirk put his arm around her waist and she leaned against him. However, as Kirk led Rasheeda inside, Karlie watched them fade away beneath the lot lights. Her cell rang. There is a fresh headline that speculates after altering the audio to make her replies seem more evil. 2 additional crew members had brought the leaked tape back to life. The notion made Karlie's chest clench. Determined to find out, she shifted her gaze to the shadowed trailers, because she was aware that the next twist was hidden in the group's need for drama. Even as the Frost couple achieved tenuous recovery, she also didn't want them to be broken by the storm once again. Karlie's heart was in her throat as she got on the set. The weight of she is still dealing with the drama from yesterday. Dextra's stopped speech was followed by murmurs as she made her way to the set. Even the grip team seemed to hold their breath as makeup artists looked at each other sympathetically. She saw Mendez giving the assistant director instructions. For the next shot, his face was furrowed with worry. She looked up at him and gave him a tentative little grin. He gave her a brief thumbs up and nodded before going back to work. It was an obvious message. This was not unique to her. but it would be a difficult road to redemption. A few seconds later, Rasheeda took the stage, slipping into character with ease for the next scene of unique twist on reality TV. But there was genuine emotion hidden under that well-practiced grin. When Kirk saw her hesitation, he reached out and brushed a lock of hair away from her face. Leaning into his touch, she drew strength from it. Even if their ceasefire is shaky, any hint of his loyalty was still crucial. For a shot in the late afternoon, the team set up the set. A gazebo with string lights strung over it, lamps burning in the approaching twilight, and a modest wooden table with cushions. Action was summoned by the director, who gave Rasheeda and Kirk instructions to record a lighthearted behind-the-scenes exchange before to the charity event. Yandindi and Karlie hovered at the edge with a clipboard and a tray of beverages, while Erica sat close by, giggling at inside jokes. The cameras started rolling. Kirk gave Rasheeda a smile. "Recall how I almost destroyed the whole patio when I attempted to show you how to cook fish?" Rasheeda's real laughter was richer because of its sincerity. She nudged him gently and taunted, "I'll never let you live that down." As they saw the couple's relationship blossom, the team captured the moment and heard applauding whispers. However, the atmosphere changed when Rasheeda's the fun mask slipped and the countenance softened. Her gaze strayed to Kirk's chestnut hair as she hesitated. First to notice, Erica cocked her head. "Everything okay?" she said, whispered with a lower voice. Rasheeda turned back to Kirk after swallowing. "I need to ask you something." Kirk's forehead furrowed with concern. "Anything," he answered. Rasheeda took a breath as the closeness was captured by the zooming camera. "Why did you call Karlie yesterday for the first time?" With a look of remorse on his face, Kirk's stance tensed. "Panicked," he said. "I thought about her number immediately." Kirk's heart tightened when Rasheeda said, "Because you didn't think of me?" Voice broke. "I believed I was keeping you too safe." Her eyes widened in pain. Kirk sought for Rasheeda's hand, but the tension persisted as the director called cut, shielding me by ignoring me. With tears in her eyes, she murmured gently, "I needed you to pick me." And Kirk nodded, his eyes gleaming. "My first focus is you. I was wrong." The crew Rasheeda retired to a corner table with Yandy during lunch break in the craft tent. There, cameras recording the genuine drama unfolding in unscripted vulnerability as they breathed. Yandy sank onto the seat across from her, and the aromatic vapor of soup bowls steamed in the noon heat. Her dark eyes were worried. "How are you doing?" she inquired. "Every time I think we've moved past it, something comes up," Rasheeda said, picking at her low, salad voice. "It brings back memories of yesterday." "You are free to feel that," Yandy said, reaching out and placing her palm over Rasheeda. "I want to fully trust Kirk, but I'm not there yet," Rasheeda said, nodding. Yandy gripped her hand. "Show it. Do you recall when he confronted the interns and showed them the uncut video? That meant a lot," Rasheeda said. "Go across the tent." Karlie saw them from a distance, her face shadowed by guilt. The ensemble would construct a fundraising display under timed constraints as the afternoon shoot accelerated for a collective challenge. Yandy and Erica collaborated on structural components. Kirk oversaw the design, and DC's planned tensions simmered under strain as Karlie and Rasheeda were charged with building the centerpiece as cameras monitored their every step. Standing side by side, Karlie and Rasheeda drew concepts on a whiteboard. Karlie provided a Rasheeda stopped and said, "How about including pictures of previous events?" Karlie softened and agreed. "I like that idea, but we need to keep focus on the cause. You're correct." As they worked together, a rekindled relationship blossomed. Behind the scenes, staff saw the change as a hopeful indication that Karlie's regret was sincere. A stack of fundraising flyers was inadvertently knocked over by a crew worker as they were working, scattering them all over the property. Rasheeda glanced up, meeting Kirk's anxious stare as they bowed to collect them, and Kirk hurried over to assist. Their hands touched as they gathered up the papers. "Thanks for being here," she remarked with a kind grin. Kirk flicked back the grin relief flicker, and she talked steadily into the camera while the microphone was live. "I didn't consider the consequences of releasing the clip, and I let my sense of humor to outweigh common sense." Rasheeda hesitated and swallowed, "And I vowed to consider my actions before acting, since seeing her greatly upset me." Fans online replied with encouraging tweets complimenting her responsibility once viewers saw her genuineness. Yand continued, "By explaining how advocacy may become performative if you're not cautious." Erica spoke about the thin line that separates harshness from teasing. When Kirk got his turn, Mendez leaned forward, his voice serious, acknowledging that his neutrality had been seen as neglect. "I sought for the person I believed to be in crisis, but I left my wife feeling abandoned. and I had no idea how difficult it would be to balance loyalties. The cameras caught Rasheeda, with tears in her eyes, watching the monitor from next to the booth. I'm learning that protecting someone involves being there for them first. As the day wore on, the sun sent golden light over the set, and that moment of collective confession on all sides was unvarnished and unadulterated. The actors were standing together with their hands clasped in front of the gazebo when the director called for a final shot. Kirk muttered, "We're okay," and Rasheeda clasped his hand as they queued up. With a little grin on her lips, she nodded. Karlie was standing across from Rasheeda, giving her the thumbs up. Rasheeda murmured, "Thank you," as she glanced at Karlie. The gesture was reciprocated with a hopeful grin from Karlie. The cameras flashed as the team counted down 3, 2, 1, cheese. For the first time since the leak, the atmosphere was more cautiously optimistic and less suspicious. Extras behind the scenes silently applauded as the group maintained the posture, feeling that a true chapter of healing had started. That night, as the lot emptied under the indigo sky, Rasheeda laid her head on Kirk's shoulder as they went to their trailer together, Kirk putting an arm around her waist. She said, "Today was better," and Kirk kissed her temple, saying, "Tomorrow will be even better." They entered, shutting the door behind them on yet another day of peacemaking. Reassembling the strands of trust, one poignant scene at a time. The actors assembled for what was intended to be the last wrap-up scene as the sun began to drop over the lot. However, for Rasheeda and Kirk, it was a real test of everything they had battled to save. Overhead, string lights were strewn, creating tables were put up with mismatched chairs and little books of wildflowers, creating the illusion of an informal dinner party. And the simulated garden set was glowing warmly. As footage would close the chapter on leaking tapes, broken trust, and public anguish, the production team was humming with excitement. Arriving first, Rasheeda, wore a dress that complemented her eyes in a rich emerald green, simple but exquisite. She stood at the edge of the set, taking in the sight, her chest tightening with apprehension and hope. Her hair pulled back in loose waves, her makeup natural. Kirk followed. Shortly after, wearing a clean white shirt and black pants, he smiled reassuringly at her, and she nodded back. Karlie and Mendesi stood off to the side, enjoying a peaceful time. As Yandi and Erica strolled quietly behind them, discussing how they had dealt with the disagreements and tears, cameras panned in for a shot as the director shouted action aiming. To demonstrate togetherness, Rasheeda inhaled deeply before guiding Kirk by the hand to their seats at the head of the table, with a broad view of the whole party approaching the table. Everyone gathered around them, with Yandi and Erica opposite from Rasheeda, and Karlie sat to her right. From them and Mendez next to Kirk, a gentle, private atmosphere is created by the candlelight flickering. Rasheeda stood up to speak. Without a script, her eyes glimmering with vulnerability, her voice solid. As she looked around the table, she said, "We started this journey with a leak that felt like a betrayal, become public. Marriages shook, friendships broke." She hesitated, her voice cracking. "But it's not about blaming tonight, it's about making a new choice for one another." Karlie stood next to her, her fingers wrapped around a glass of sparkling water, and Kirk reached over to hold her hand as she slumped back into her seat. She said, "I shared a clip without considering its impact." She looked at Rasheeda. "I've spent countless hours regretting it. I laughed at a private moment, and that hurt my friend. I promise to uphold your forgiveness every day since you showed me such courage." Rasheeda's eyes softened. Kirk nodded respectfully to Karlie. Yandui got up with her own glass, and I raised my voice to mobilize support. "Supported Shakira," she said, "but when my tone lacked empathy, I fueled a fire and apologized to everyone for picking sides without first listening." Erica rose next, clearing her throat, and patted Rasheeda's hand before going back to her seat. She said, "I have used humor as a weapon. I had assumed that teasing was innocuous, but it had a deeper meaning." She gave Rasheeda a little grin, and the two ladies nodded in agreement. "Rasheeda, I apologize for every joke that hurt." Rather than cheered me up, she said, "DC's was last. Men." He arose, his voice forceful yet quiet. He stared at Kirk. "I failed at providing support. I felt that being neutral was safe, but I left my wife feeling alone." He turned to Rasheeda and said, "Thank you for taking the initiative. To find the truth, thank you for teaching me the value of genuine cooperation, Rasheeda." As Mendez went back to his seat, tears welled up in Rasheeda's eyes. The cameras lingered, catching the unadulterated togetherness in that moment as the ensemble sat in an embrace of wordless understanding. Circle one by one, the director yelled for the hug. Kirk and Rasheeda clung to one another as the actors moved in. Yandi and Erica put their arms around each other, while Rasheeda and Karlie gave each other a long embrace. The camera moved around them, capturing Mendez as he snuck in to join the circle, and drew everyone in. When the hug came to an end, Rasheeda grabbed Kirk's hand and guided him to a little table at the side of the set where a single envelope was waiting. The eyes were wet and real. Printed copies of the raw video, transcripts, timestamps, and notes demonstrating Kirk's identification of the intern leak were inside when she opened it. "This is our proof," she continued, her voice shaking as she raised the papers high. "We discovered the truth in this way." With relief and pride on his face, Kirk stood next to her. Erica and Yandi crowded around, while Karlie and Mendez came to see. As the unfairness of the fabricated rumors became evident, each person read a little passage and nodded. Their reactions were caught on camera: astonishment, pity, and vindication. A shout went through the crew when the director called the final cut, exposing the injustice for everyone to witness. The lot was alive with emotion when the backlights lowered and the string lights gleamed brighter in contrast, and the producers applauded, stating that they had caught not just drama but change. Following, the camera stopped rolling, and the actors stayed, conversing quietly. Kirk and Rasheeda sneaked out to the gazebo's peaceful nook. Kirk encircled her shoulder with his arm. "Promise me, we keep honesty first," he said whispered. Rasheeda inclined toward him, always. Karlie came over and held out both hands. She said, "Thank you for today, for believing in me once more." Rasheeda gave a nod, holding Karlie's hands together. Softly, "We're friends," she said. They exchanged a quick embrace. They were joined by Yand and Erica, and the four ladies discussed ideas for an actual char. "It has been quite the roller coaster to go from betrayal to restoring confidence. Rasheeda has been viewed by you. Face Kirk, insist on his allegiance, and watch as he demonstrates his commitment with deeds rather than simply words. You've seen Karlie accept responsibility for her error. Erica and Yandi are sorry for the unexpected brutality. Mendezi also learns the price of being neutral. Every turn surprises the fans. A public outrage is caused by a private leak. Unfiltered feelings are captured on video, and after being split apart, the family must find a way to be together again. It's your time now. Do you think Kirk's behavior today really made yesterday's pain go away? Should Rasheeda keep holding him responsible until she is totally secure? Will Karlie's apology be sufficient to mend their relationship, or will more effort be required? Which side do you support in this fight for forgiveness and loyalty? Join the discussion by leaving your ideas in the comment section below. Hit it like if you've been captivated by every dramatic scene. Click the button and invite your friends to comment on this video. As well, remember to ring the bell and subscribe so you don't miss just one twist in this play from real life. Here, your voice counts. Tell us the location, what you believe will happen next in this story, where you stand, and what you do in Rasheeda's shoes.